Tell us about the rite of passage, he exclaimed, all in capital letters. I had a chuckle when I read it, so I'm going to answer that guy's question. So I'm going to talk to you about the Trussing-in Ceremony. This is a rite of passage for our Koopas, which has happened for hundreds of years. It started in the 14th century, and hasn't really changed much since. I'm going to insert a clip of one that happened in the 50s. Like I say, there was thousands of Koopas up and down the country at one point in time. Now there's hardly any of us. There's literally only a handful of us left. So we had to recruit a couple of Koopas down from Scotland to help in my Trussing-in. So we're going to move on to my one now. So the Trussing-in, I had to dress the staves. The apprentice has to dress the staves for a hogshead. So I had to get them all prepped and then raise the cask. It's then down to the trussing team to bend this cask. So like I say, we had to bring some Koopas down from Scotland, as well as a couple of English Koopas, which formulated the trussing party. Since it's a new timber cask, you have to put it in steam for about 30-40 minutes to allow moisture into the timber to bend it. While it's in steam, you're going to light a fire inside of a cresset. Once this cask comes out of steam, you put the cask onto the fire, and then the trussing team, using truss hoops and their hammers and drivers, are going to knock them hoops down that cask until all the joints start to close up. Once they have bent the cask about halfway, you take the cask off the fire and you start driving hoops down from the other end. It's quite a confusing process. I'll explain it in a later video. But before they start bending the cask completely, they put the apprentice inside. So they chuck the apprentice inside, they lift him up and chuck him in. So this is me going inside of the cask now. As you can imagine, it's just come off a fire. It's very hot in there. And then to make it worse, they then start hammering around it, so it gets very loud in there very quickly. So it's hot, it's loud. And then to top it all off, once the cask is bent, they then cover you in all the shite they get from their brewery, basically. All the yeast, the hops, the malt, all the disgusting stuff they could find. They cover the apprentice in that. They knock the cask over. They roll it around a few times. And that is it. You leave the cask no longer an apprentice, and you are an accepted, fully fledged Cooper. So I'm what they call a journeyman at that point. But unfortunately, you are unceremoniously sacked from the brewery at that point in time. I no longer had a job as an apprentice. But fortunately, they were looking for a journeyman Cooper, so I was re-employed shortly after. They even let me name a beer after the ceremony, which I called Stave Bender. I could talk about this ceremony in a lot more depth and post a full video of it without me talking, because there's actually a poem that goes alongside of it. The poem's absolutely brilliant. If you want to hear that, let me know. But that concludes it, guys. That is the Trussing-in Ceremony. It was a tremendous day, one that I'm very proud of and incredibly grateful that the brewery put on for me. And that's it, guys. So I'm a journeyman Cooper. Hopefully one day I'm going to do this to an apprentice and get my revenge. But that's it, guys. If you enjoyed that, give it a follow. Give me a follow. Give the page a like. And that's it. Let's keep the name of Cooper alive, guys. Peace. Hope that answers your question, mate. Bye-bye.